Welcome to another episode of Doing It Cheap. Folks, today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite Harbor Freight tools and what I hate about it. Yeah. It's one of my favorites, but it has a feature that I absolutely cannot stand, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do about it. First of all, let me show you what it is. It's my metal cutting bandsaw, and man, I love this thing. You see me clamp stuff in here, and you lower it down there, and you adjust the spring, and it will cut right on through there all by itself. The problem is the wheels, moving this thing around. If you look down here, what their puny excuse for wheels is these little hard things right down here. Now, that base that the saw is actually sitting on is real flimsy metal. And those wheels and that bracket will bolt on either end. And I've had them on each end. And this is the most awkward, off-balance thing I've ever seen in my life as far as, you know, being able to move it anywhere. And I primarily use mine outside because I don't have a great big garage in here to put 24-foot steel in to be cutting up. So, let me show you what I'm going to do. Well, folks, what I've got here is some 2-inch square tubing. I'm actually going to be using this metal to build my own portable type carports. And you know me, I like doing it cheap, so I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to pay somebody else to do it for me. But since I had this stack of metal laying here, and I need to be cutting on it, and I just got fed up with the dad blame saw, me trying to move it and muscle it around, and my old back ain't what it used to be. So this thing's got to be mobile. Now, I don't mean being able to drive it around everywhere, but at least be able to roll it out and then roll it back in the shop. So I come up with an idea here. Now these wheels are not going to steer. It's just going to, all four of them going to be straight out. And these are the little Harbor Freight wheels you can buy for $3.99 if you catch them on sale. And I went to Tractor Supply, and I like Tractor Supply because when you buy bolts and hardware there, they sell it by the pound. And it's a whole lot cheaper to buy it. And you know, doing it cheap, it's a whole lot cheaper to go to Tractor Supply for your nuts and bolts. And I've got grade 2s, grade 5, grade 8, carriage bolts. I got all kinds of stuff. Anyway, my idea is I'm going to stick this 5/8 bolt, which by the way is what fits the wheel. I'm going to stick this 5/8 bolt in like this, put my wheel on there, put a washer, a couple nuts. Actually, I may turn around the other way. I don't know. I ain't figured that part out. No, it'll be this way, because I want to get as much width, or yeah, I want my wheels to set as wide as I can, you know, for stability. And all I'll do then is just bolt these little rascals on there, and more than likely what I'll do is I'll just tack weld that nut in place so it won't back off, because it looks like if I put a washer on here it's going to get in the way. So I'll just get it where I want it, and I'll just tack a little weld right there, and if I ever need to take them off, just take a little 4.5-inch grinder and grind it right off. So what I got here is I cut 4 pieces 36 inches long. I cut 4 pieces 14 inches long, and 4 pieces 19 inches long. So I'm going to have the base here with 4 wheels. I'm going to come up with 14-inch pieces and have a duplicate of what I've got right here without the wheels right above it. And I measured where the where the bolts set on that cast iron part of that saw, so I know where to put my bolt tabs. You'll see. So we'll stop it right there. I've got to do some more welding up, and you'll see how it comes together here. Now, I'm laying up the top right over the bottom to, keep everything in line. And I wanted to say a little something about square tubing, and even round tubing when you buy it. It has a welded seam on it, where this is all bent together and put together, then it's welded right here. And what I try to do, not that it really matters, but just a good thing to keep in mind, especially if you want to do a nice looking project, and it does matter, is keep all these seams pointed in the same direction. What I mean by that is, I've got all this I'm welding together, I'm putting the seam down, so that when I paint it, if ever, if I get it all nice and clean, want to spray paint it, make it look pretty, which I doubt they ever have, this seam, you can actually feel it. So you would see it through the paint. So by putting it face down, you won't have that problem. And my uprights, I'll actually turn the seams to the inside of the frame. So from the outside, everything will look pretty neat. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is my bolts that hold the saw to the actual frame are 17 inches apart, and these pieces are 36. So what I did is I found my center mark, my center line, then I come out 8.5 inches from the center on both sides, and that's where I want to put these cross members, because whenever I set that saw down, it's got bolts that go in from the outside. I'll weld me a little angle iron tab in here and be able to bolt it in place so it won't go nowhere. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and weld this up right quick, or tack it together. We'll be back in a minute. Another thing I bought at Harbor Freight, which I really like, is the AutoDarkening welding helmet. They run about 40 bucks, and I like it because I wear glasses and they're progressive lenses, and sometimes I have trouble, when I flop that welding helmet down, being able to see where I'm going. So with this auto darkening, I can get in position and get just right, and then I can do my welding. I believe it ain't gonna hurt nothing if I go ahead and do a little bit of welding on camera. Just gonna tack it in place. And see, I can see fine out of this whenever it's down, and then it'll turn dark and protect my eyes. I think it's 1/25,000th of a second. We'll see. Yes, you should be wearing gloves. You should be wearing welded leather sleeves, all that. Yeah, you should. You know that old saying, do as I say, don't do as I do. Ha! I like what the old Idaho hillbilly said. He says, I ain't no welder, or I don't claim to be no welder, but I can make two pieces of metal stick together. I thought that was funny. Trying to fill in a gap without clamping it. Oh well. There. Okay, now I've got it tacked in place and I can finish welding it. So, we got a top, we got a bottom, and these 4 posts be my uprights. So let me get this top welded together and then we'll put these uprights in it. Well folks, it's the next day and I've got it all tacked together. You got an idea what it's supposed to look like. It's upside down right now. But I thought I would share this little tip with you. When you have an electric drill motor or a grinder or any corded tool that has a key, a chuck key, a wrench or whatever, attach it down near the plug so that you almost are forced to unplug it in order to use it. It's a little safety tip and a way to not lose it. I don't know why I have trouble hanging on to that little wrench right there on my other grinders, but I swore that by God this time it wasn't going to happen. And a little word about this little $10 4.5 inch grinder. By God, it's pretty damn good. I like it. Anyhow, if you'll tape your or zip tie your electric drill key or your wrench for whatever your tool is, it'll always be there for you. I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheels bolted on and get this thing stood upright and come back and let you see what it's supposed to look like. Now what I've done is where I drill these holes for these bolts, I have tack welded them in place. That way they won't turn on me, and whenever I put them wheels on there I ain't got to worry about that bolt twisting. Also, I'd like to point out to you I needed a quick workbench. As you see, all that is 3 pallets and a couple of scrap boards across the side there to hold the bottoms apart. So, you know, whenever you got to have something, you got to do it cheap. Just do it. Okay, the next step is I welded some pieces of angle iron down here on the frame and took my cutting torch and blew some holes through them for the bolts that go through the frame of the saw. And then I'll set this saw in place, stick some bolts, nuts, and washers in it. And if this angle iron is too tall, I'll just take my torch and cut it off. So we'll see what happens next. Well, there is the finished product. Easy to roll around. Not too bad to pick it up like this and turn it. Main thing is I want to be able to roll it in and out of my shop. And it sure beats the fool out of that right there. That thing ain't worth a crap. I mean, it ain't worth a crap. You look at how the wheels are mounted, that thing's got to be tilted up almost vertical for that to roll, and that's really flimsy. That sumbitch ain't going nowhere right there. It ain't pretty, welds ain't pretty, but it ain't going nowhere. And if I have to, if a piece on it breaks, if a weld breaks somewhere, hell, I'll just weld it back. I just want to thank all of you, and if I don't see you beforehand, make sure you have a Merry Christmas. I say Merry Christmas. If you don't like it, that's too bad. If you do like it, leave a comment. Folks, I'm rambling. Have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow. Bye.